Hello and welcome back to Let's Play Pillars of Eternity with me, Bring It On. Alright, just run across this water. Preemptively open up the shortcut back.
I'll stay out of sight.
Embedded in this deep semicircular slab is what looks to be a vessel for the sprinkling of holy water. In this context, however, it looks more like a lever. There are images engraved on the wall behind it. One of a rising wave, one of an open gate. Point the object toward the rising wave. A faint trickle of water is audible at the edge of your hearing. It grows steadily into a roaring torrent. You know, I was afraid this was going to happen. I assumed we had killed everybody. Oh, except for Ferrentis. He was still alive, wasn't he? Shoot. I thought it was a puzzle. Then we had to fill up... or let the water in first, because I noticed that the water wasn't up to the platform we were standing on. I thought we had to do that. So I could have probably opened up the gate first and let everyone go. Aw, man. Well, this wasn't malicious intent. This was an accident. Though I did briefly think this was a possibility. Then I was like, oh, I killed everybody. But I did forget about Ferrentis. And I guess there were more people in here than we killed or ran across. Yeah, because there were those closed doors that we couldn't go into. Aw, man. Well, that sucks. Human voices echo through the stone halls. Pleading, gurgling, screaming. And then silence. With a click, the machine releases its hold on the strange rod. You pack the vessel away.
They gained nothing from their suffering. Better for them to start fresh.
Yeah, and I guess you could make the argument that releasing them would also be hazardous for other people out in the world. I mean, they attacked us because we opened a gate. So a lot of them weren't all there to begin with. I mean, it's weak justification, but I also didn't mean to kill everybody. Oh, I forgot to check his body after I spoke to his soul. Arthex Cord. Plus 1.8 move speed while endurance above 75%. Plus 21 interrupt while endurance below 75%. Very specific amount of move speed. Quetzalcoatl was a famous raider from the Ixamital Plains, and Arthrek was his prize stallion. Renowned for his speed and skill on horseback, Quetzalcoatl could disarm an opponent in the time it took most to knock an arrow. He disdained heavy and elaborate armor, claiming that a true warrior could fight in anything. To prove his point, he fashioned his belt from Arthrek's reins. the very least, we should go check out Ferentis's room.
Mm-hmm.
So the bodies do appear on the map, so I can just take a look around without having to run all the way back through the dungeon. Also, I assume the bodies intentionally start here because they probably expected you to run out this way and check out the cliffs after this. As if thrown into the chasm, skeletal remains rest precariously on the ledges of this cliff, as far as you can see.
Quiet.
You return to the precipice of a fissure that reaches down into the mountainside. Wind wails up to you from its depths. An enormous ice-encrusted skeletal hand still looms over the gap. With only the ominous moaning of the crevasse to disturb your thinking, you consider your options. Inspect the area. I think we've read this before when we first tried. I'm going to read it again, just in case. It could have changed slightly. Considering the span of the gap and the position of the skeletal hand, you believe a well-placed grappling hook would allow you to reach the other side. Though positioning the hook may be tricky, the winds are not so strong that they would endanger attempts to cross. With only the ominous moaning of the... Oh wait, we read that. Cast your grappling hook. The middle finger is a large target, but it sits in the midst of buffeting winds that threaten to blow the rope and grapple off course. See, that makes no sense. The previous description says the wind isn't so strong that it would. However, cast the grappling hook will need nimble fingers to ensure a good throw. As you ponder the difficulty of the throw, the wind momentarily abates, becoming little more than eerie murmurs whispering far below you. Who will cast the hook? Have Zalwa do it. Yeah, same description as before. Yeah, and then it has me do it instead of him. Alright, whatever. We'll just go out the other way. We have to go back up top anyway, to the reliquary. Now, that book event is odd, because it says the wind isn't so strong that it would throw the grappling hook off course. Then it says it will, then it says there's a lull.
Right.
Then the wind blows anyway. And then the person I selected to throw the grappling hook doesn't actually throw it. He starts off the interaction, but then it's my character that does the throwing. So we get really close to leveling up. She's still a ways off. Yeah, Durant should level up with... Well, I'm a little ahead of him.
Huh?
And we should have that new item in our inventory. Let's take a look at that. The Andra's Witness. The ritual of sprinkling holy water is one of the most important traditions in the Andrite Church. For Andra's followers, it signifies not only a sanctifying of the Church, but the actual presence of the Lady of Lament herself. All Andrite holy water comes from the ocean, and those who convey the water from the sea to church on pilgrimage are held in great esteem among the Andrite faithful. The I forget how you pronounce it. I'm going to say aspergillum. Takes the traditional shape of a spherical vessel set at the end of a long handle, with holes bored into the top to allow water to flow outward when the item is flicked. More uniquely, the shaft has been carved to look as though barnacles cling to it, and the vessel at the end has been made to resemble the moon Balaffa. Salt appears to have crusted in long wisps that wind around the object. Because we're not close to the ocean, are we? Like, we're a good ways out. I guess you could sail upriver. As long as she pays taxes to Cadnua.
Yeah.
Pay the river toll. An exorbitantly priced river toll since her order attacked me. It caused me no small amount of grief during this
On the
DLC.
hunt.
Well, assuming the person carrying the vessel's a woman. I said she, but they. I didn't get to read the description. I got an achievement. A voice from the deep.
Quiet.
This kind of feels like it could be a boss. Well, no, that's the reliquary. Halls of Presence again.
I knew the Abbey was a secret, but I had no idea.
The cracks on this jawbone suggest that a forceful blow separated it from its skull. Judging by the distance to the nearby skull, a tremendous force severed this vertebrae from the rest of its giant body. I don't want to pick a fight with whatever did that. It felt like this isn't attached to the rest of the Halls of Presence, but let's check it out first. Oh, it is this way up. Okay. I saw this earlier, but didn't have a icon on it. Guess I could have figured that out if I had remembered. Saw that staircase when we first entered the High Abbot's room. I was like, well, that's weird. I can't interact with it. Alright, we'll do it once around before we interact with that. The strange crystal formations of this rock, intact even after their collision against the thick bones of this giant skull, seem to radiate with the warmth of their own. I'm not sure where that goes yet. Or that. Alright, let's do the reliquary first, then we'll deal with these two things. Here we go. Lodged between rows of crystalline rock, a large fragment of metal protrudes. It looks as though it might be possible to pry it loose. Pull out the metal fragment. At your touch, the splinter of metal begins to glow orange. Heat surges up your hands and arms and envelops you with such intensity, you feel as though you're melting down. The heat spreads to the world around you, turns it orange, and then yellow, and then white. The ground, the sky, everything around you drips in molten globs and begins to take shape beneath you, as if in an invisible mold. You and the shard are the last things to melt and fall, and your addition to the molten pool completes the shape of an immense hammer. The metal cools as quickly as it had heated. The handle is gripped now by two great leathery hands, and the hammer is cocked back over a shoulder as broad and mottled as a hilltop. The wielder whirls around and heaves the hammer, and you are flying upward for what seems like ages into the airless blackness above. As you spin, you catch glimpses of a rock large enough to be a moon. It is close, far too close to the world. The force of the impact shatters hammer and stone alike. The rock is redirected outward, but a section of the front face is cleaved off and begins to fall, splintering apart at the cracks. In 100,000 fragments blossoming outward in all directions, debris showers the atmosphere, trailing smoke and fire. Below, land and sea are far off, but gradually rising up. Look to the sea. The largest of the fragments, wide as a city, barrels downward in a fiery cocoon. Its size reduces as the edges immolate, but it won't burn up in time. It lands silently in the distant ocean, sending a column of water skyward, irradiating ripples that spread like wrinkles in fabric. Then the sound comes tearing up through the sky. It sounds like thunder. Look to the land. Features are becoming clearer by the moment as you streak toward the earth. You're lodged in an enormous boulder, falling among other smaller fragments that heat and burst around you on all sides. Beneath you, snow-capped mountains rise up, dotted here and there by cities of stone and Adra. The impact will be the destruction of all of them. The shadow of your rock fragment is visible now, getting larger by the second. You're moments away from striking the ground when a massive shape throws itself into your path. Last thing you hear sounds like another rumbling impact. That isn't what it is. It's a chuckle, relieved, breathless. You hear two words. Made it. Everything goes dark. You open your eyes. The metal hammer fragment has come free, and you now hold it in your hands. It is warm to the touch. Okay, so I think what happened, because there was a third moon, wasn't there, that fell to the sea. Abaddon crafted that hammer, destroyed the moon, because it was too close to the earth or something. I feel like we've read books that talked about this, or touched on it before. And as the fragments came down, he used his body to prevent it from impacting the planet. And that's why he crafted himself into the golem? That's my guess. And I feel like I vaguely remember reading about some of that. The air around you is suddenly turbulent, spiteful. A cold, damp wind whips your face. Salt crystals collect in your nostrils and the creases of your eyes. The floor below you becomes blue-gray and glassy, churning and rolling, and when you fall, you crash through water. Violent waves hurl and spin you. Something slithers around your ankles, seizes you with incredible strength, drags you down into silty depths.
This is very good.
Zawa laughs gleefully. When the pulling stops, you're hovering at the center of an endless blue abyss. You can see neither surface nor floor. You seem to be facing downward, but there is no way to be sure. A voice sounds from everywhere at once, and the immense pressure wave of each utterance sends you reeling.
Deceitful wretch! Grave robber! You who dig for that which you did not bury, speak! Explain yourself and be judged!
I do only what I must to survive. If I am to be judged for it, so be it. And this is true. The beginning of our adventure was us just doing what we needed to survive. When we looked for the plants to cure whatever ailment we had, we saw a shelter in the ruins to avoid the Beowake. And here we are now.
No mortal is fit to decide whether he is worthy of survival. Your actions speak for themselves. The battery opened. The forge ignited. You conspired with souls that evaded my judgment. Saw them infused into the very thing they had stolen from me. The dwarves sealed their own fate. The forge was meant to be forgotten.
I should have done a better job.
And now, here you are again, denying peace to the buried.
The turbulence around you calms. Still settles like a slow exhalation, and the vast dark seascape beyond the murk fades in. Rays of light trickle down from far above into green-gold columns of kelp that rise from the depths and sway back and forth in the current. Fish and mollusks patrol them in groups of hundreds and thousands. The nearest pass you with watchful eyes. What are the bones of one god doing sealed in the temple of another?
Do not play coy with a god, Watcher. I know you have seen his death. I feel it whenever a forgotten thing is taken from me. Obsidian did not deserve to die here. This place, it was the least I could do to give his remains some privacy.
The least you could do.
The least I could do for ending his life.
Light drains from your surroundings. The kelp forest becomes a copse of thick tendrils, stark and twisting as regret. And twisted, not twisting.
I called the moon down to me, Ioni brother. It was against his wishes. He would not listen to reason, would not listen to me. In his madness, he splintered the moon, but it was not enough. The greatest of the fragments still fell toward that which he would protect. In the end, he took position where it would fall, and absorbed the impact himself.
I thought Balafa and Caldwell were the moons, so I called
Ioni brother is their smaller sibling, tiny next to them.
Small enough that the world would survive its impact. But why the temple? Why the secrecy?
That time has been forgotten now, and so his death belongs to me. Everything he was before the impact.
But you slew another god. Surely the other gods know this. Surely Abaddon must know. Current surges through the kelp bed, pushing each plant sideways like saplings in a hurricane, propelling you backward amidst a torrent of wayward fish.
No! He cannot know! He must never know! Understand, he was not always as he is now. His body was not all he left behind. He was devoted to progress and industry from the beginning. But so too was he devoted to preservation. In those times, he would let nothing go. Nothing could be forgotten. His will was iron long before his body.
Preservation. So that was why he went so far to oppose you.
We agreed long ago, all of us, not to alter the course of Kith's civilization. Not directly. Not unless there were no other choice. But in this matter, there was no other choice. He understood that as well as anyone. It was for duty that he opposed it. I would have stopped it if I could, but by then it was too late.
What was it he was trying to preserve?
Time has finished much of what I started. I cannot tell you that, mortal, for fear of undoing all its costly work.
You make it sound as though you were the sane one.
The other gods knew what had to be done. but they lacked the will to go through with it. Even gods have their attachments. To erase all knowledge of such a grand thing required unthinkable devastation. The Eastern Reach, Deadfire. Mine was the only solution. When I called down Ione Brother, they remained silent. Even Abaddon. He knew it was for the best. But he tried to stop it all the same. Perhaps deep down I knew he would. I should have expected it. I could have stopped it.
I want to ask you about something else.
You may ask.
What do you mean the Forge is meant to be forgotten?
It was never meant for mortal use. Such power, such truths lie within it. It can bring only ruin. When the Pargrunen came to the White March, they were peaceful. They shared common beliefs and purpose. Their visions for the Forge tore them apart. You have seen this for yourself. They would have destroyed themselves in the end.
How convenient that we'll never know.
You need only look to the history of your own civilization for assurance. How many wars, how many fallen empires might have been averted if only their leaders could forget the objects of their ambition. I mourned the loss of the Pargrunen. Misfortune brought them here. They did not deserve to end so soon.
I don't really care for this question. I'm going to ask it anyway. What does it matter if something is remembered or forgotten? It's in the past in either case.
Memories are the spirits of the past. You of all people should know their sway on the present, Watcher.
See, I like option 3, even though that's not the same stance I took with Minea, but I wanted to leave that up to her. I mean, her whole quest was to forget her awakening memories. So it wasn't really my place to stop her from that anyway, to prevent her from completing her quest. There are ours to bear whether we care to or not.
Mortals measure the worth of their lives in memory. Who will remember me? How long until I am forgotten? Memory governs every thought, informs every choice. It can fuel passion, understanding, love. Or it can create obsession, madness. You have seen it plague many souls in your travels. Consider the old Watcher who inherited unspeakable crimes from birth.
That's not their memories, though. It's their soul's memories, yes, but not the person, not the individual. That's a completely different scenario.
Or the young woman who committed herself to Brackenbury for love of things she remembered she had. Or the fisherman whose life became a sentence the day he killed his sister. Or the Glonfathen boy for whom an old medallion was worth more than all the fruits of his labors.
So I remember all these people. So that's Mayor Wald. We spoke to this prisoner. She was, I don't remember her name, but she's in the Brackenbury Sanitarium. She's the only person you could speak to. The only patient you could speak to. Fisherman, he was the guy in Stalwart that killed his sister. We turned him in, or forced him to turn himself in. And this was the escort. The male escort that we did that quest for.
They could be free from their burdens, if only they could forget.
Their burdens exist for a reason. I don't like that. I'm not condemning them to remember. Their problems go deeper than memory. Simply forgetting does not make them go away.
For some, perhaps. But for many, the memory is all that remains of it. It has been many years since the Takan people were assimilated. Why then should your Nalpazka warriors still hope to free them?
There is no longer hope of freeing the Takan. The failure is part of Zawa now.
This memory is your tether, Nalpazga. How free your mind would be without it.
The memory of your failure does not seem to have stunted your development, Zawa.
It may have. I wonder if I had been free of it, if I might have found what I sought sooner.
The fires of cold morn died long ago, yet vengeance still burns in this construct's mind.
Man, this sucks. I wish I had my A-team with me. I'm much more interested in Adair, Alof, a Palagina, you know, my main party. Grieving Mother. Oh man, I'm really excited for a second playthrough now. Just for this interaction.
What is vengeance but a fire fueled by memory that consumes the soul?
A fun way to kill time?
Cold Morn is not but a memory now. If it no longer intruded on her thoughts, no longer haunted her dreams, she could live a life of her choosing.
Old Morn is part of her identity now. It gives her purpose.
So often do we confuse memory with identity. But memory is who we believe we were, not who we actually are.
There's some truth to that. Like, if you think back to interactions you've had with other people, you probably remember them much differently than they do, or much differently than what actually happened. In a lot of cases, you might paint yourself as the good guy in whatever altercation you may have had. But maybe you actually weren't.
She would have a different identity now, a more peaceful existence, if she could forget what led her down this path.
But I would lose my favorite conversation starter.
Light filtering down from the surface seems to focus on Manea.
You cast your troubling memories aside when you had the opportunity, and you have found the peace you sought.
It's funny. I remember feeling bad, but I don't remember why. It's like having scars for wounds you don't remember. As long as they don't reopen one day, I can live with that.
The source of those wounds is long gone. The memory was all that could do you harm.
Yeah, option 2 is true, because the memory did help her develop into who she is today, who she currently is. Even if she doesn't remember the memory now, prior to forgetting it, it formed her into who she is. There was value in the memory, despite the harm.
Even when problems have run their course, memory can be the stone that sinks you into the abyss.
I'm still not sure I agree, but no matter.
Your past has not overwhelmed you yet. Wait.
Oh, is it only the DLC companion she speaks to?
Was there something else, mortal?
Why did you pull down Ione Brother?
The great conundrum of a god is how close to become with your subjects. Too far and they lose hope. Too close and your own judgment fails.
Okay, so I'm not as excited for a second playthrough now, because it looks like it's only the DLC companion. So I'm glad I had all three with me. Otherwise, we wouldn't have got all that extra dialogue.
I guess dropping a rock on their heads is one way to fix that.
Civilizations are meant to ebb and flow. Allow them to persist for too long in power or knowledge, and you invite catastrophe. There was a time when we let our sympathies get the better of us, when memories were allowed to persist that should have been washed away. The other gods could not be moved to act. I did what had to be done without them.
You're talking about the Ingwithans.
I speak of what is forgotten. I failed that day, but my purpose was achieved in the end. I will not dredge up the memory to satisfy idle curiosity.
The army that destroyed the dwarves, the Islas, are they yours?
What the world casts aside, I take into my care. A thing may be forgotten, but it is never alone as long as I am here. They were lost children, abandoned, fixed on a purpose that no longer had meaning. I took them in, gave them new purpose. I did not create them, but yes, they are mine.
They are Abaddon's. I saw them forged.
They were his once. I won't deny it. He created them as assistants to carry out his work on Aora. But he has long been the overseer of progress in the world. Leaving things behind has always been his way. I allow him to leave his past in my care, so that it does not hold him back.
You and Abaddon have a unique connection then.
I suppose we do. But then, the gods have always been able to accomplish far greater things when working together.
Nearby, you see a shark pass through a school of fish. The fish scatter, evading the predator. I had something else to discuss about the eyeless.
Speak your mind.
What new purpose did you give them? I have 13 intellect. I'm 1 point away. That's happened a few times where I've been 1 point away from more dialogue.
Some things that are forgotten must never be remembered. Not merely for the benefit of those who forgot, but for the entire world. There can be no second thoughts, no sympathy or stays of execution. The eyeless were born to fulfill this task, though even their creator did not know it. They are single-minded and relentless.
You mean they kill those who remember what you want forgotten?
They do not flinch when called upon to do what is necessary. Kith owe them a great debt for the troubles they have hidden away. You may ask.
I think I have 11 perception. No, I might not have any perceptions, since I don't have that one helmet equipped anymore. It might just be at 10. I need you to call off the eyeless.
On the contrary, mortal, their work must continue. Far too much was uncovered while they lay dormant.
They draw attention to the very things you wish hidden. In my dreams, I have seen them swarming over the Deerwood.
Those who know too much of the White Forge will be washed clean from Aora, and then the eyeless shall rest once more.
This isn't some lone tribe of dwarves. The Forge sees visitors from all over now. The eyeless will tear Deerwood apart. It will never be forgotten. The sea life around you stirs back and forth, agitated, restless.
Even if it is as you say, there is nothing that can be done. The eyeless do not think for themselves. They have only the purpose that is given to them. They do not stop until the purpose is fulfilled. They will not change course now for me or anyone. I am sorry.
If you won't stop them, then I will.
Your determination is commendable, but the eyeless number in the thousands. You will need more than strength or luck.
May cost me my life, but I will do what I must.
I will give you what aid I can. I bade the eyeless to remain hidden when at rest. They are gathered in the hollow of a great rock, splintered from Ione Brother. It lies in a flooded crater known as Kairin's Scar. Know, too, that they were built to answer the call of their master's hammer. When they hear it strike, they come to its aid.
I still do regret taking this option. I should have taken the rational option. I think that was more in line with my character. I'm a sucker for self-sacrifice, so...
If you were to take that piece of his hammer from here and reshape it in Abaddon's forge into a likeness of the original, you might be able to call them to you. But destroying them would be another matter. I know of one way, but only from the center of the Lion's Den. Only with their master's hammer in your service. If you can do all this, if you can reshape what remains of Abaddon's hammer and bring it inside their lair, I can instruct you there on what you would need to do.
It would be easier if you told me now.
Nothing I say will make sense until you see it for yourself, mortal. We share a common purpose now. I will see you through it when the time comes.
I can just say screw it. I'll remake the hammer in the White Forge and stop the eyeless.
If you do not, be assured, they will come for you as they did for the Pargrunen.
An uneasy turbulence disturbs the calm, like an unwelcome thought.
Careful as you approach the lake. When I claimed the Eyeless, I made sure they would not be discovered while they slept. Many of my most devoted followers stand watch there. They will not allow you near.
Call them off. You talking to me, talking to them.
And there is something far worse. Something more fearsome and dangerous than any Eyeless. Let us hope you do not attract its attention.
Sky Dragon. So we have that upgrade for Sagani's bow. It requires us to rest in the lair of a Sky Dragon. What is it? In place of an answer, a sudden surge in the current from beneath sends you hurtling upward. The surface above you approaches fast, shifting and glimmering like quicksilver. You emerge soaking wet on the stone floor of the reliquary, gasping for breath, as if you've been holding it for hours. Alright, so I have a thingy. Fragment of Abaddon's hammer. This piece of metal resembles steel, but its surface gleams with an otherworldly sheen. Alright, so I have a quest. We'll read that at the beginning of the next episode. For now, I'm going to call it here, and in the next one we'll explore these couple locations over here. I assume this is just an exit. We'll have to go to the White Forge anyway. By the way, gonna call it here. Thanks for watching. Also, we'll level up my main character endurance next episode. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope to see you guys in the next one.